This time on Film Ranker, we are looking at Mad Max. Even though there have only been 4 films over 40 years, George Miller's Australian post-apocalyptic series has had a huge cultural impact that continues to this day, and hopefully will carry on with more sequels to come. But right now, let's count them down from worst to best. Number 4, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome. After the pre-production death of producer Byron Kennedy, George Miller brought on friend George Ogilvy to split directing duties, and what we ended up with is a bit of a case of 2 movies smushed together. The first is the story of Bartertown and includes Tina Turner, Master Blaster, and the classic 2 go in, 1 comes out Thunderdome fight. The second is kind of a post-apocalyptic Peter Pan. When the 2 meet, we end up with a weird PG version of a classic Mad Max chase/fight scene that I loved as a kid, but hasn't aged particularly well. There's an argument to be made that this is maybe the most accessible Mad Max film, and there are some that love it, but for my money, this is the weakest entry of the series. Number 3, Mad Max 2, or if you're from North America, The Road Warrior. This one is the simplest movie in the series. It is more or less a post-apocalyptic take on the formula created by films like Yojimbo and A Fistful of Dollars. It's a loner protecting a weakish town from a gang of toughs. This is the film where George Miller really solidifies what Mad Max is, with the leather-clad Humongous and his mohawked Lieutenant Wes, and their larger gang of S&M nutcases in souped-up dune buggies. The car-based action sequences were like nothing we had ever seen at the time, and the style was something all its own. It's simple, but it works. Number 2, Mad Max. The 1979 original is as low budget as it gets. For folks who see it after experiencing the crazy visuals of the sequels, it might even seem mundane, but make no mistake, this movie was something special at the time. Even without the over-the-top visuals that the series would become known for, there is an off-kilter weirdness to it that builds a world like no other. The barrel-chested Fifi with his mustache and scarf, the weird hospital that Goose is taken to, the dude with the tracheotomy, and of course, the gang led by Toe Cutter that are a little bit Wild Ones and a lot Clockwork Orange. Even without the big budget and the cool car fights, this one has the most character building of the first 3 films, and it lays the groundwork for everything that would follow. Number 1, Mad Max Fury Road. George Miller is pointedly vague about whether this is a true reboot or a sequel, but wherever you put it on that spectrum, this is a fantastic film. It is exceedingly rare that a sequel so far removed from the originals lives up to that hype. Far too often we end up with Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but that is not even kind of the case here. Fury Road is George Miller with a lot more experience, a few decades of thinking about what he'd like to do better, a much bigger budget, and a tremendously talented cast. It is action movie as art piece. Mostly silent except for the roar of the engines and the award-winning score. It doesn't rely on exposition, it just plops us into a world that's lived in and brimming with memorable characters and lets us live there for 2 hours of eye-popping amazingness. Simply put, it is one of the best films of the decade. And that's it. Here's hoping Mad Max The Wasteland and that teased Furiosa spin-off one day come to fruition. And if you haven't seen any of these 4 films, go check them out. Also, why not like and subscribe? And hopefully, I will see you all next time.